Welcome, this is Mr. Terry. This is the first flipped lesson for World Civilizations here at Camden Catholic High School. This first lesson is all about just what history is, why we study it, and also kind of our foundation that we're going to get set on. Moving past this, we're going to move into ancient Greece. Now remember, last thing before we get started, I will be checking these notes tomorrow, so let's go. Alright, so first of all, what is history? History is the study of past events. This is something basic that most of us all already know about. But the better question is why do we study history? Now the first reason is to better understand people and societies. For us as historians to grasp why civilizations exist and the reasons why their culture exists that way that it does, we use history as our tool to figure all this stuff out. Also, history is used to study change and why the current day exists, as in why what is happening right now is happening. A lot of people don't really understand that you use history probably more than you do any other subject. If you were talking to one of your friends this morning, or if you were talking to one of your parents about, you remember when I didn't have a smartphone, or do you remember when I was little in elementary school? You were just using history, cataloging your past events to understand why you are where you are today. And the last thing is honestly just to be a more informed citizen, both nationally and globally. So you can understand what's going on around the world, you have to be able to understand history. So, recorded history began about 5,000 years ago with the invention of written records. Everything before written records with history is called prehistory. Prehistory is anything that we don't have very well documented because prehistory was all oral history. This is stories, art, interpretations of art, things of that nature. Why do we not rely on any type of oral history? I'll give you a hint. Does anybody remember playing telephone when they were little? Exactly. When the message would start on one end of the classroom, as it would get passed around through other people's ears, the entire documentation of that phrase has been totally messed up. So we don't rely on oral history, we rely on written history, which started being recorded about 5,000 years ago. The earliest forms of modern-day man were believed to originate from Africa. After origination, they all started to scatter out and migrate throughout the different parts of the world. This is usually in search of new resources. Hominids are anything that we refer to as people. Hominids are defined as our ability to make, create, and advance as well in technology. Now, there are two types of eras when it comes to studying history. The one that we aren't going to focus on is called the Paleolithic era, but you still need to know what it is. The Paleolithic era came from 2 million BC to 10,000 BC. Paleolithic means Old Stone Age. So these are the people that we don't consider modern. This is not modern. Paleolithic people are not modern representations of people today. Paleolithic people were also nomads. What's a nomad, you ask? You need to make sure you know this. A nomad is someone who wanders around to find food. People who move from place to find food. Nomads survive by hunting and gathering their own food. Now remember, paleo means old, and lithic means Stone Age, so the Paleolithic era. Paleolithic people are also very special in the fact that they made tools out of stone, bone, wood. They also created fires for cooking, and they used animal skins as clothing. Paleolithic people also practiced primitive religion. This is exemplified by the fact that they buried their dead. This is a very important aspect of religion, because when people began to bury the dead, we believe that they started to take care of the body and also believe in an afterlife. Now, there's going to be a major turning point that's going to end the Paleolithic era and so start the Neolithic era, or the Neolithic period. Now, if Paleolithic means Old Stone Age, what do you think Neolithic means? Exactly. It means New Stone Age. The better question is what is it about these humans that made them Neolithic people? That event is called the Neolithic Revolution. There was one invention that started the Neolithic Revolution, and it ended the Paleolithic era, and so began the Neolithic era. Does anybody want to guess what that invention is? The answer is farming. Farming is going to eliminate the need for hunting and gathering. People can now remain in one place throughout the year, and so start these civilizations. Nomads don't have civilizations because they're constantly moving around to find food. Now, the agricultural revolution is going to be a huge impact as well. Now, the Neolithic Revolution started with the invention of farming. The agricultural revolution is going to start with when humans learned how to domesticate animals, as well as plants. So they domesticated both plants and animals. These could be now better suited for human use. Humans can now create a surplus of food that would last them throughout the year. Neolithic Revolution is also going to bring around the invention of towns and villages. Again, these are the early forms of civilization as people are creating these surpluses and they can survive in one place for extended periods of time. They're going to group together and form societies. Now, the beginnings of civilizations. Villages are going to grow into massive civilizations. Early civilizations were always settled near a major river or water source. Floodwater from rivers is going to bring silt across the valleys, renewing the soil for farming. Remember, farming is very important. It's what stopped old Stone Age people and made them new Stone Age people. These conditions gave farmers the ability to grow surpluses throughout the year. Remember, a surplus is extra food that can last you through the winter or through non-harvesting periods. Also, there are major traits of civilizations. These traits include an organized government. Now, an organized government can be anything: a council of elders, a warlord, an absolute ruler, anything. But all civilizations have some type of government. They also exemplified complex religions. Think about any ancient society and their religion. You've got myths with the Greeks. You have polytheism with the ancient Egyptians. These are several different traits, or these are several different types of religion. Job specialization is also going to commence. These are called artisans mainly. Artisans are skilled craftsmen. A skilled craftsman is, for example, a blacksmith or a farrier, someone who has a specific set of skills that they can apply and use all the time so they can make a living. Now, job specialization right here is going to directly lead to social classes. Social classes is something that we're going to discuss and analyze, though, as we begin our progression through Western civilizations. Now, lastly, civilizations are going to take a major shift when their government and governing styles get much more serious. They're going to grow into these things called city-states. Now, a city-state is the earliest political unit, and what it is, it's a government or a political unit that includes one large city and the surrounding villages. An example of a city-state is Sparta or Athens or technically Rome. They just conquered a very large amount of land. These city-states are going to conquer new territory, just like the Romans, and going to form these things called empires. This is our foundation. This is what we're going to use to start our study of the Western civilizations. I'll be checking your notes tomorrow to make sure you took this stuff down. We may even have a quiz. Have a good night.